Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with 16 string quartets I couldn't live without. And I know you're going to want to provide your list of string quartets up to 16 that you can't live without. Now, I haven't repeated any composers, which was just killing me because I would do all Haydn if I could, but that's okay. That's not entirely true, actually. There are a lot of other wonderful string quartets, and we're going to encounter them as we go through this list and all of yours, I know. And you can duplicate composers if you want. I just don't. Usually I don't, as a matter of principle, but it doesn't really make any difference. I want your favorites. I can't stress this enough. I mean, so many of you don't bother to listen to what I'm saying because you don't watch the video before you do your list. But if you're listening, the idea here is for you to choose your favorites. And it doesn't matter how many times the more popular ones get repeated, because part of this list and its utility for others who are just getting started is knowing what the most popular pieces are, knowing which titles come up repeatedly. So feel free. You don't have to agree or disagree with my list. It's my list. There's nothing to agree or disagree to. If you have criticisms or other things you want to talk about, make your own list. As I keep saying, contribute, and then you'll have your say. So here we go. Are you ready? These are in no particular order. It's just as they came to me. Shostakovich String Quartet number 3. I love this piece. It's a big, beefy, yummy quartet with all kinds of fun stuff happening in it. It's quite symphonic. And the opening tune is unforgettable. It's a little like, da da dum ba da dum ba da dum ba da 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 dum ba ba da 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 dum bum ba da da dum ba ba da 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 da. It's absolutely delightful. It starts with such innocence and simplicity, but then, as is so often the case with Shostakovich, all kinds of complications ensue. It's just splendid. And Shostakovich, of course, wrote 15 string quartets, and the majority of which are masterpieces. So there you go. Haydn, String Quartet in C Major, Opus 54, number 2. Now, I made a video about this. I did. Go take a look. It's called something like Haydn's most interesting string quartet or most unusual string quartet. This one is amazing. It's amazing. First of all, it's in C major, which means blank canvas, interesting harmonies from Haydn. The slow movement is a passacaglia, that is a repeated bass thing with this wonderful gypsy rhapsody on top of it, with some amazing dissonances, and it's just incredible, absolutely incredible. It runs without a break into the scherzo, which has a tragic trio section, and the finale is an adagio. It's a slow movement with a quick insert. There is nothing like it in the chamber music literature. Trust me when I tell you, it's just phenomenal. Next, Janáček has String Quartet number 2, Intimate Pages, sometimes called love letters, based on the unbelievably crazy, mad passion that Janáček had for the 38 years younger, or something like that, 30 years younger, Kamila Stoslova, I don't know, her name was something like that. And he was in love with her and wrote a bazillion letters to her. They were both married. She had no clue how to deal with him. He was just all over the place, and she sort of, humored him. And wow, what an amazing quartet. It's texturally incredible. It's got pizzicatos and harmonics and ponticello, nasty metallic raspy sounds, and crazy ostinatos, like chugga, crazy highs and lows, and you're not going to believe it's a string quartet. It's just phenomenal. Then Beethoven. Well, we got to have a Beethoven, don't we? Well, we don't really, but I do have one. It's the String Quartet number 7, Razumovsky number 1, which I just can't get enough of. It's so beautiful. It really is. It's just extraordinarily lovely. And, I don't feel any particular obligation to have to pick one of the last quartets just to prove how smart or profound I am. I mean, we don't need to go there. They're wonderful works, extraordinary works. I love them. But if I had to choose one, this would be the one. And, it's so, So beautiful. Next, here's a real curiosity that I only discovered about a year ago. Reicha, his Quatuor scientifique. It's on Brilliant Classics, and the only recording of it. And it really is an astonishing piece of music. The download is all scrambled up as to the tracks and timing, so just don't download it. You've got to buy it. And my, oh my, it's in 12 movements. It uses strange contrapuntal devices and odd meters. Reicha enjoyed writing things in 5/4, 5/8. And he was one of Berlioz's teachers, the only one that Berlioz could stand. He was a real visionary musically, and he calls this scientific because he's trying to expound his new view of fugal writing, which nobody could figure out. I mean, it's very, very unusual. It's wonderful stuff. And he quotes other composers. It's just fascinating. Really incredibly enjoyable music that also has a didactic purpose. And, it's like, wow, really nifty. I love the piece. I've been listening to it constantly since I first reviewed it and talked about it here. And I see no sign of its fascination diminishing over time. Then Smetana, his string quartet number 1, From My Life. Oh, is this a gut-wrencher of a piece? The Czech quartet composers, I have to say, Janáček, Smetana, Dvořák, Martinu, they were so colorful in their handling of the medium. I mean, it's only 4 strings, but their works just have this vividness and joy in the timbral possibilities of string instruments that almost nobody else shared at the time that they were writing. And this particular work is biographical, or autobiographical. It describes the Smetana's incipient deafness when he heard this whistling high E in the violin he couldn't get rid of. And of course, he had syphilis and he went crazy. And it didn't end well. But he wrote a lot of music before that. And this is just one of the most beautiful and sad and gripping and dramatic string quartets. Just sensational. Then we've got Mendelssohn. Now, when we come to Mendelssohn wrote 6 mature string quartets and 1 sort of earlier one. And the one that everybody goes for usually is the last one, number 6, because it's the one that he wrote after the death of his sister, Fanny, and it is an expressionistic nightmare. It's absolutely gut-wrenching. Really, really amazingly intense, because Mendelssohn's supposed to be kind of a nice Victorian, kind of a wimpish guy. Not here. This is go for the jugular hysteria music. That's why I chose string quartet number 2. Yeah, so there. In A minor. Well, it isn't a minor key, okay. But Mendelssohn's first 2 quartets are extraordinary works, structurally and imaginatively. Mendelssohn was one of the few composers who really enjoyed and got late Beethoven. And he listened to the late Beethoven quartets, much to the consternation of his very, very conservative parents, who thought that maybe that was a bad influence. But he wrote the second quartet particularly. Both of them are amazing, numbers 1 and 2. But the second quartet particularly it's in cyclical form, and it has, the movements are all somehow connected and unified. And it's just an astonishingly confident and powerful and forward-looking work. By a very, very young composer, of course. He was like, 20-something or whenever when he wrote it. And it's one of the masterpieces that's not as well known as it should be. None of Mendelssohn's quartets are as well known as they should be, but this is really an amazing piece. And if you like his 6th quartet, if you've heard that, you owe yourself something really special to have a serious sit down with number 2. You're gonna love it. Borodin, string quartet number 2. Okay, yes, it has the slow movement that is just the most beautiful thing in the whole universe. Ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da. It's gorgeous, and the whole quartet is gorgeous. It's probably, I'm pushing it, but the greatest 19th century Russian string quartet. Well, not entirely, because we've got one coming up that's up there as well. But it's first class, absolutely first class. And again, it doesn't get as much attention as it should. I mean, the nocturne or nocturno, whatever that slow movement's called, gets played separately. It gets arranged for string orchestra, but you really ought to hear the whole work because there are delights in every single part of it. After Borodin, Herbert Howells, the British composer, contemporary of Vaughan Williams, his String Quartet No. 3 in Gloucestershire. Oh, I love this piece. It's sort of the Vaughan Williams pastoral school with maybe a little bit more edgy counterpoint thrown in. What a hypnotic and lovely work to just bask in. It's terrific and gets no attention. Nobody cares. Nobody plays it. Nobody wants to deal with it. I can't understand why. Because, Vaughan Williams wrote a bunch of string quartets, two of them, I think. They're okay. I mean, they're good pieces. They really are. And I enjoy them. But this is sort of a more mature, more fulsomely English pastoral school kind of thing. And if you like the Vaughan Williams of like a London Symphony or the Pastoral Symphony, the mature Vaughan Williams, the Fifth Symphony, listen to this. It'll slay you. You're going to love it. Then, as I was saying about Russian quartets, Glazunov. Glazunov wrote 7 string quartets. They are first-class pieces of music. We've talked about them before. I've chosen No. 3, which is quite wonderfully Slavic and delicious to listen to. Again, full of color and first-class tunes and beautiful writing for the 4 instruments. I mean, do you want to know why string quartets are like such a big deal? Why people poured the best of themselves into this medium? Think about it very, very simply, about basic musical principles. In order to have a complete massive harmony in our tonal system, you need 3 notes. These are the notes that make up major and minor chords, the major and minor triad. And then you need somebody to do the tune. If you've got an accompaniment of complete harmony, relatively complete harmony, and then you have someone to do the tune, that means 4 people. That's it. That's your quartet. And having them all do, being of the same family ensures the possibility of blending, if you want to blend, but it also permits great clarity if you want to do counterpoint or textural noodling or present simultaneous melodies. In other words, the quartet is a medium whose musical potential is virtually unlimited, but it also requires tremendous discipline because you only have 4 players. Nobody is doubling. Every note should be, theoretically, absolutely essential to the ongoing musical argument, and nothing can be taken out, and nothing needs to be or should be added. I mean, and that has inspired composers to, discipline their technique and their way of thinking and to really make sure that everything that they did was musically necessary. And the composers who really got into it wrote, impossibly fabulous masterpieces. Well, Glazunov was one of those. He did an amazing job in his 3rd quartet. Then we've got Dvořák, who wrote 14 fabulous quartets, or most of them are fabulous. Let's say 8 or 9 of them are fabulous. The others are interesting. And number 12, the American Quartet. I know it's the obvious choice. And you might want to pick the 2 late quartets, 13 or 14, for his, late style, which is also actually very interestingly, in some ways, riffing on late Beethoven. But the American Quartet is just so melodically beautiful and colorful. It's full of pizzicatos and things and interesting, little textural and timbral juicy bits. Oh God, it's gorgeous. I can't get enough of it. I mean, the very opening with the trills, yada da 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 da, and the opening tune on the viola, yada da 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 da, yada da 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 da. Oh, it's rhythmically amazing. It's melodically amazing. It's just amazing. And the finale is one of Dvořák's greatest train tunes. He loved watching trains. He was a train spotter, and you can hear trains pulsating through his music. The finale of the New World Symphony, the opening of it, is a great example. But they're everywhere. They're everywhere. And this string quartet probably has the best It's a train. It's a train arranged for string quartet because he wrote the thing, or at least conceptualized it, while he was taking the train to his summer place in Spillville, Iowa. And then he wrote the whole thing down in like 2.5 weeks or something. Just an amazing piece of music. Absolutely glorious. Then we've got to do Schubert, his string quartet number 15 in G major, Deutsch 887. This is his last quartet. And it's in outer space. Oh, it's so cool. It's like the Schubert string quintet. It's similar to that in its almost otherworldly lyricism and incredibly rich harmonic sense, and it's transcendental. I mean, Schubert was, soon to be no longer with us, and you could sort of feel he has one foot in the other world when you listen to this quartet. It's I don't know, it's indescribable. It doesn't sound like it comes from any specific time or place. It just exists, and in some sort of dimension all of its own. It's just fantastic. It's a great argument for string theory, which has like 11 dimensions, and 3 of them are real and the rest are folded up, or I don't know. It's just an amazing piece. Martinu. Yes, Martinu also wrote 7 quartets, and the 5th is his wartime quartet. It's related in intensity and angularity. I'm almost like one of the Bartók quartets, which aren't on my list. I'm sorry, you can put them on your list. But much as I admire them, and I do, the Martinu string quartet number 5 is closely related to the double concerto for 2 string orchestras, piano and timpani. And that's anguished music and intense music and really, really powerful with that driving, motoric, sort of Baroque rhythmic impetus that Martinu always has. But, when he puts it in the service of some really, really tense and angular music, oh my God, it's powerful and really thrilling to listen to. It'll be a real find for those of you who like string quartets with guts, lots of guts spilling out all over the place. Kalliwoda, another wonderful Czech composer, his string quartet number 3. Wow, this is fun. The finale is like a folk rondo, and he's using harmonics and other wonderful little timbral, juicy things to whet our appetites and get us salivating, and the piece is just a delight from beginning to end. He was commissioned, Kalliwoda was, to write his 3 quartets, only 3 of them, in an easy style, that is easy to enjoy style, a relaxed style. And that's really great to have once in a while, because you can't just listen to nothing but, avant-garde harmonic processes and relentless counterpoint just because it's a string quartet. That's the problem with, the Brahms quartets, for example, which I find they're just overwritten. There's too much happening because he's too concerned that, he can't relax and let anything just chill. Well, the Kalliwoda quartets are chill, and they're amazing and wonderful to listen to. And the 3rd is beautiful. On the other hand, if you want a heavy-duty quartet, there is the Magnard string quartet, Alberic Magnard, who was really a great composer. He was killed during World War I by the Germans who were invading his farm, and he barricaded himself in his farmhouse and shot at the troops, and they blew him up, and it was a whole mess. But he wrote 4 wonderful symphonies and a whole selection of other things, including some fantastic chamber works. There's violin sonata, and there's a piano trio, and there's all kinds of individual things, because he didn't have that much time before he got obliterated. But his string quartet is another one of those huge works in cyclical form that's incredibly serious and phenomenally rewarding to listen to. It's a big, ballsy piece, and I just love it. And last but not least, just unbelievably pure and thrillingly beautiful lyrical music, Ravel. How can you not love the Ravel quartet? Now, I know the Ravel quartet is always supposed to come in tandem with the Debussy quartet, which is also wonderful, don't get me wrong. But how is it possible to detach them? Well, I just did, because I really, really couldn't live without the Ravel. And much as I enjoy the Debussy, well, I can do without it, except for maybe it's scherzo. But I just think the Ravel is so, so beautiful. And I had to put it on my list for that reason. And you can decide whether it belongs on your list. It's entirely up to you, because that, my friends, is my list of 16-string quartets I couldn't live without. I will take these to my grave with me, all of them. They'll pack the scores into my casket. Now, I hope they don't do that. But these are wonderful, wonderful works. And they're particularly interesting, I think, for people who are hesitant about chamber music, or who feel that the string quartet medium is a sort of snooty and high-end thing to avoid for intimidation reasons. Don't be intimidated. Don't be afraid. This is music to be savored. Really, really, you could dig into it and savor. It's rich. It's rich and rewarding and full of extraordinarily unforgettable musical ideas. And I think this list that I've tried to put together, I hope, it shows, well, first of all, it shows my own personal preferences, but also my delight in exploring the range of what the medium has to offer within a overall lyrical, tonal kind of perspective. So that's my list. I cannot wait to see yours. Keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me, and take care.